Winters Field Trip Science. Today we're talking about hibernation, and we're also going to talk about a few other types of processes that animals go through in order to conserve energy and use their adaptations to better survive in their environment. So let's first talk about hibernation. I think when we first think of hibernation, we think of a long winter's nap, which is not a bad starting place for our definition at all. When we look at hibernation, though, we kind of have to ask ourselves, is this true hibernation or is this a torpor hibernation? What is going on here? And so a true hibernation would be that an animal completely goes to sleep, their metabolic processes and rate is going to be completely down, their heart rate is slowing down, they have eaten a ton and they've prepared and they are just sleeping there down for the winter. That is a true hibernation. They are undisturbed until spring or at the time that they wake up. Sometimes the animals wake up early too. A torpor situation would be that animals hoard their food, they have it together, they're staying within one place, they're sleeping for long periods of time, that heart rate is going down, but at some times they will wake up, they'll get out, they'll walk around, they might get a little bit more food if there is any, come back to their place and rest again for a time. So they're not completely hunkered down for the entire winter. So some animals that go through true hibernation are smaller rodents. Some bats do this. Bees do this. We have our picture of our bee here. And torpor would be larger mammals, including bears. Okay? So a lot of the animals that we think of when we think of hibernation and we think about them preparing, they're more likely going to be torpor based on their size, and smaller is rodents, squirrels, smaller animals like that, okay? Hibernation is a process done by warm-blooded animals or endothermic animals, okay? And this is the process that they're doing to conserve energy and to make it through the winter. Brumation, on the other hand, is what cold-blooded or ectothermic animals are going to do to be able to survive the winter. And so some of their strategies would be, again, lowering that heart rate, but they do it in a slightly different way. They're going to bury themselves underground. They're going to push themselves into a rock for a time. So this is what a lot of snakes are going to be doing in order to survive the winter. Estivation or aestivation, depending on where you're from, has to do with animals in hot and dry climates. So when there's very hot and dry climates, limited amount of water, sometimes what animals will do is they'll try their best to find a cooler location and they'll do the same thing. They'll kind of shut down their metabolic processes, kind of take a nap, calm down, lower that heart rate in order to conserve energy until there is a more hospitable time to look for water or hunt for food. And so this isn't going to be lasting for months. This might be lasting more so for hours or for a few days. And they'll stay in this state in order to conserve that energy so that they can work at a more energy efficient time to find that water or food. So these are kind of some strategies and adaptations that animals use in the environment in order to combat tough conditions like cold or heat. But they're very important for this time. And so sometimes when we see animals in the environment like bears, they're taking kind of an intermission from their hibernation. They're not friendly at this time at all, but it's important to know that because we have a lot of animals hibernating right here in Utah.
All right, guys, so for the activity this week for hibernation, I want you to go outside and observe what animals that you see. Do you see any insects? Do you see any reptiles? Do you see birds? Do you see mammals? Do you see evidence of any of these things? So look for those animals, see which ones you observe normally and which ones you might see normally when you are out in the warmer weather. And then go home and maybe look up and see, like, did this animal migrate if it was missing? Is it hibernating and I wasn't able to find it? What happens to the animals that you were not able to observe, that you would normally observe in warm weather? What happened to them during the winter? So go ahead and look those up. We're going to be doing that as a little field activity. And then you also can make your own hibernation area. So I have some examples here of some various different hibernation spots that you can build. So you could have a blanket fort inside your house, or you could build one out of branches, especially like at the park. That would be a really good place to find a bunch of branches. Or if there's enough snow on the ground, you can make an igloo and you can build one of those and see how you would hibernate in each of these places. And then I want you to go and I want you to think, okay, if I want to hibernate until March, I want you to count how many days that is. I want you to count how many meals you normally eat and how much food you would need to eat to hibernate during that time, okay? And let us know how much food you would need to eat to hibernate during however long your desired period is in your various different forts. So send us pictures if you'd like, and go ahead and keep looking out for all those cool animals. Find out what happened to them during the winter. And we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.